versus 5 post plant. Scream, always the nuisance, always the play that can cause problems. He's the first to start it. Mixwell will best him in reply. Scream now hits the deck in 4v4 again. G2 with weaker weapons look to hold the post plant. I can't express how difficult this is, but with that Viper's Pit up, it does give them a fighting chance. Recon bot goes into it to try and claim some information. Hasn't gone deep enough to really gleam a lot. So Soulcast is in the mix, and he might just go down here, making a lot of noise. Hoodie alerted to his position, able to take him down. Meadow follows up, and just like that, it's Link and Navera left in a situation they know they just can't win. And they're backing away, they're saving this one, and G2 bite back with weaker guns.
Says a lot, right? The dedication. There was not much for G2 to work with, and that's not acceptable at this level, Navera. He thought he was safe. That's the operator lost.
That's a disaster. That's the biggest impact weapon. It's the most expensive in play, and it is now gone. Luckily, Navera one away from getting the tour de force, so he can still have some of the impact. But yeah, that's a shaky round, to say the least, for Team Liquid. Not only have you lost to the lower tier weapons, you've now fumbled the bag in the save call as well.
I can only imagine at the timeout it's going to come in from Sliggy and Liquid. Not necessarily just for that alone, although it does add up. But even in their series, like, it's Groundhog Day for us, Stinko. We casted these guys in their first game of playoffs.
Yes.
And we saw a lot of these early timeouts. Because, I mean, Liquid, we saw them playing those double controller setups, which we're likely to see again on Split. You never know. But both teams kind of going...
מה קורה חברים? שבת שלום לכולם.
We've changed up some stuff. We've changed some stuff up as well when it came to playing up against Guild for Liquid. And also FPX.
Yeah. I mean, we're sitting in a situation right now where we can't emphasize this enough, right? The pressure at this point for G2 and Team Liquid, the fact that the countless hours of sacrifices, the amount of work that you put in, everything leads up to getting to these positions in your career where you want to win away from qualifying for a Masters event, from going out there to a huge international land. There is so much pressure on this, and you have to remember how young some of these players are, in particular Team Liquid as well. You know, these are players that, some of them inexperienced. You're going to be looking at some of the more experienced players in the roster here to really help them pull this one through. And luckily, Sliggy's called the timeout early, because that did look shaky for Liquid.
This is a full buy, though. Basically, Bladestorm dedicated 3 rifles, and now the Tour de Force is available for Navera. So this is something that Liquid are going to fight for. This isn't an eco. This is an important round for them to pick up. G2, yet again, going A. So it's the same sort of stuff. The site's been played off a little bit. The Eldron not going to catch any information from the attackers. But Meadow, he's so sneaky and ratty. He could find a lot of space here if it wasn't for this Eldron giving him up.
Well, G2 are fully committed towards A right now. There's no fallback plan available at the moment, and Scream with that Bladestorm is always a scary sight. He flies up above, finds himself the first. The head of Mixwell no longer attached, and G2 down a player. Spike goes down. They've got the post plan at least, but the problem is they don't have the numbers. Team Liquid have an opportunity to bite back after their failed round in the previous. Yampy getting in the mix. It's Link that's gone down, so the numbers once again even. Spotted is Avova. Yampy sees him, but Scream is gone. Yampy can't do much better, and now Navera and Soulcast. What can they really hope to do here? Navera went for that ultimate. He went for the orb, and he hasn't been able to find any impact on it. They have to back away yet again. G2, they were down a player, and they still recovered the post plant to pull through for 5.
And it's more of the same for G2. It's the same plants when it comes to either side of the sites, right in the corners, using the Sage Wall to protect it. It really feels that it's just G2 exploiting the fact that Team Liquid don't have their own Sage. You can't protect the when it's coming through. Something kind of wrote the book on when it came to playing it at Champions. Because Liquid have affirmatively moved away from that Sage. Have gone, we don't need it anymore. This composition works better on this new map. Liquid have had more time to prep for it than anybody else, which still wasn't an awful lot of time. That last round was a big dedication. Now they have to eco again with just that 1 rifle for Soulcast.
I mean, let's
talk. It allows G2 to farm up these orbs again, and these
Zneva, שבת שלום חבר.
G2 loving just taking this controller's orb every time.
מה קורה בוזי אחיקה? שבת שלום. מה אומר זנבה? מה הולך כהן? מה יש לי לסקרים? קטנה בלי אנימציה. רק לא אמור?
Smoke is going to come up for Yampy, slowing them down, holding them back for the time being.
Mixwell's been doing so much damage, either getting that first kill or getting the trade, but most importantly, keeping this operator in the hands of G2. And making it work. It's a slow scale.
בוקר טוב, שבת שלום שון. אח שלי.
Liquid don't want to be in these positions, but they might just have to be. Just playing in on the site, playing close. Breaking that wall as soon as it's used. It's slow incremental moves up for G2.
ספקט שעלית, וואלה האמת שון, אין לי זמן בכלל, כי יש לי כמה דברים לעשות, אבל אמרתי לפחות נעשה מסיבת צפייה של זה. לפחות נסטרים את זה. מול אחד, המח שלי, שבת שלום. זה והביא לי, אתה יודע מה זה אומר, אח?
One of the reasons why it's such a low ACS is mostly because he's playing away from the action on B. 2 shots in his headhunter. Unlikely how much he's able to get here. But look at the economy on the right-hand side of your screen. 4K, 6K. You two have plenty of money to
דיימונד, תן בראש, אחי. תרביץ אותם.
Add too much impact on the side of Liquid. This could easily be 6-1. Mixwell, not easy to make the attack operator work even more.
מה, G2 סינה 2-0 עוד פעם? אין מצב.
He has made his agent his own. It's not out otherworldly kind of performance. It's not like he's writing a book on agent like Nats did for Cypher, for example. But it is working perfectly for G2. It's one of the main reasons I think they brought Mixwell back in Kellogg's.
וכל מי שכאן שימו לייק, לכבוד השבת, שימו לייק.
It provides G2 its own unique spin that is very NA influenced. Mixwell said that when he was benched, he watched a lot of NA and we saw a lot of Chamber over in that region. He's making it work in EMEA where a lot of teams have sort of stuck their nose up at it. Other than Liquid, of course, who Navera has a lot of success and another operator. Double ops again, it's such a big investment, it's such a big gamble.
Currently G2 walking their way through alongside this toxic Scream, but look at that from Scream. He realizes we can't just let G2 every single time, and Scream gets over the top, able to come away with one.
שבת שלום יניב. מה הולך יניב?
Every single round, just playing in from belt, but there's not much utility to stop him. No flashes, no stuns, nothing like that. No KO to suppress him. He's got free reign. But it's also on the other side for Mixwell. If he can get these lineups, the 2 operators just scouting out for spots and angles.
It's
a slow round. They actually catch Scream that's playing in that Jenny corner. He was already the Snakebite takes him out.
לא יודע אם ליקוויד יחזרו מזה האמת.
Influential blow at times here from this position. Yampi looks to try and claim his life, but that toxic screen is keeping him up for now. G2 have been so tentative, so methodical in these approaches.
G2 עם 6 ראונדים באטאק והם בכלל דיפנד מאוד 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 חזק. כמו אומר קולפוט, שבת שלום. צ'אט, כל מי שכאן שימו לייק.
But that nano swarm has stopped him from moving out to the left side. Instead, he drops back to the right and denies the plant. 15 seconds now for G2. They cross again. It's again Link. He will be their problem. He will be their demise. And it's all onto Meadow. The clutch is needed. 5 seconds left. Time limited. Has to commit to the plant, and he knows they're hunting him down. Team Liquid will get their second.
אתה משחק היום בנוסף? לא נראה לי אחי.
First kill to bring it into a 5 versus 4. Liquid just playing in on that site. Like B, like just forget about B. You could just probably remove it from the minimap because this is just a pure A retake server for the 2 teams.
It really is.
But it is like these sort of positions. Smart play from above to know the Scream's going to play in that spot. But Link, the adjustment to playing off of this new box right on the site. It is just Liquid. Even as soon as that Hunter's Fury came out, you've got Yampi teleporting away from the action to not get caught. Surviving is the most important thing for Liquid. Getting that early kill, then just trying to keep that 5v4 as long as they possibly can.
Finally, we see some B presence for G2. They feel like they've exhausted their strat book towards the A site. All right, Team Liquid have adjusted now.
Might be the lock.
בוא'נה איזה גבר אמפי שצחק לבד ב-A.
Hunter's Fury is available for Soulcast though, so he's more than prepped.
Yeah, that's the problem here. Navera looking for the opening.
בוואלה יש גם כמו CS, יש לי כמו נאבי ונאבי ג'וניור. כן, יש דברים כאלה. מה הולך דוד? שבת שלום.
That's not too far off, Ryan. That's very close indeed.
Problematic, but he's still alive.
יש בעיקר קבוצות אקדמיה ב-NA. גם בתחליף ראשיהם מזמן אחי. בגלל שכל מה שקרה של רוסיה, אוקראינה, אז הם לא צריכים להחליף.
Shots that are coming into that area, and Evova's even scaled up quite aggressively. Scream doesn't expect this.
Scream, the wall comes up. That's going to give away their plans. But he's on the other side of the wall, on the right side, as Scream has to try and get into a position where he can actually see his opponents. Right now, are currently cancelled out, and certainly will be by Nukia. Evova and G2 getting aggressive, taking Snowman control. They're deep in this one, G2.
Team
Liquid, there is no pathway back here. they have to think about the save call. There's no way back into this round. The way G2 have just established control of this entire half of the map, you have to tip your hat to them, Ryan. That was a very well played round.
It was a lovely call that comes in. I think Nokia is still calling for this team, but just the default, you sort of expect the wall to go up in a typical spot, but no, it's more of a Fnatic wall to create some more space towards Snowpile. And just the aggression to go hunted, I think, onto Nvera that was playing in that position. Really, this isn't Liquid's map pick, but it did go all of the way between these two teams earlier on in playoffs, went to overtime.
Yes. The thing is, though, Ryan, you know, we talk about, yes, okay, this game happened pretty recently, but it's anything but the same matchup, right? When you see this matchup come through
two
again,
very different teams.
Yeah, and you look at this G2 team that are coming on to play Icebox right now, they're going to look at what Team Liquid that they ran, what worked, and G2 are going to come up with a couple of ideas around that, and you can see a lot of A presence a lot of the time here in these rounds on the A side. So we'll see if G2 decide to go with that strategy again. Seems like they're leaning towards A again very heavily.
Viper's Pit available on the attack if they can get the spike planted again. Yampi not wanting to let that happen. Scream 2 is also scaled up in...
אני חושב מזג האוויר, וואלה אני אוהב אותו שון, אני אוהב שכפו. מה זה? למה אתה קדימה? איזה נאפס, איזה באסה לו. תודה רבה לעשה ברק, ברוך הבא.
Over the top of the Hunter's Fury, and that's going to catch Yampi at the back of the site. Nukia, good for one as well onto Link.
איזה באסה לסקרים.
G2, upper player into the site. Team Liquid once again have to retake. Kill from Soulcast, at least brings the numbers down, Ryan.
Yeah, it's so explosive from G2, but it's still...
למה שמו את סקרים הג'ט? זה רק באייסבוקס, אחי.
But now he's managed to pick up Phantom. All of Liquid are lit though, and it's an open plant again.
Hoodie, he catches the timing, looks for the piece. Soulcast close to taking the kill, but just couldn't quite amount all of the damage needed. Navera now...
יש לי הרבה שמעת מהתעשים מתנה מחזיר אותי ידיים, הדף שלי יגר, המון מזל טוב שון.
He knows who Hoodie is. Now he has to find Mixwell. He wasn't too far off taking him down. Mixwell peers from above. Will he fall for it? Tucked in the right. Navera holding the deep. Mixwell just about gets the pixel. And of course, Navera, the time was limited there the whole time, but still nonetheless, he pulls Mixwell into the fight, and it rounds now for G2.
He was sweating there a little bit, but did all of the work he needed to. And when you have this, it's just so open, yeah. Like, it's nice that he's able to sort of see the player in the end, but the stall has been great. We expected G2 to sort of be leading the line on this map, but to do it so dominantly going into the half is one thing.
הוא משחק רק ונדל נראה לי, לא? אם הוא ג'ט, כן, לא מרימה פעם אחת. נברה ויאמפי על הרוב. אבל הבעיה שמפה הבאה הוא ישחק איזה קאי או סקאי, אז זה מטומטם מאוד. לא מברכים לפני ואיך גם אחר אף שלי תדאג.
And yeah, it was BBL that beat Ascend in the end.
Yeah, a little unexpected result there, Ryan, I think, but...
yeah, G2 are sending some of these big teams home.
Yeah, they absolutely are. We'll see if Scream can send them home in this round, though, because he's got the Bladestorm out, and, well, that answers my question. Mixwell takes him down straight away. So, 4v4, Bladestorm out now for Team Liquid. It's just pistols. Too far off there. Hoodie on the other side, so the right spot, but it will penetrate. Hoodie luckily is good enough to take down Navera. That one certainly will penetrate. Link right through the Viper's pit, connects the headshot. 3v3 here, Abova luckily stepping G2 in the right direction. The Team Liquid have now got a Phantom. You can back away with that one, Link, if you want. They're still trying to push forward into this, but with G2 set up inside of this pit, very hard to get into this one. Diving down, Soulcast catches the perfect timing. Link finds the ball. Now suddenly it's just Meadow left. Meadow's got one. The time's ticking, and Meadow at least pulls it through for G2. Oh, it's getting very scary in this game, right? It's getting back and forth, but the rounds just keep on ticking for G2, and that's all that matters. It's 9-2 right now. The scoreline is not close. It is completely one-sided right now for this attacking side.
There was an opening here for Liquid, but Meadow, certainly from like those...
כן, ברור, זה מה, ככה הוא אמור להיות, אחי. ג'יטום טומטמים פשוט.
Tremendously. He has been a massive addition to this G2 team, and he's showing up again when it matters. This would be his first international event. The same for Hoodie as well, and Pipson, the coach for G2. The rest, a bit more experienced in these kind of things.
I think we have to talk about Pipson a little bit in terms of
the game plan. It's
fantastic.
וואלה, המשחק התקדם. קודם כל, המשחק תמיד מתקדם. אז באים חדשות, באים שמות חדשים. אם זה שינויים של דמויות, אם זה דברים, כאילו, המשחק תמיד משתנה. FPX הכי טובים כרגע לדעתי. FPX לדעתי, אם הם משחקים כמו שהם עכשיו, הם מנצחים את הטורניר הזה, בקלות כאילו. הם ישפילו את NA, הם יפרקו את EU, והם פשוט ידרסו את כולם. FPX משחקים מדהים. היחידים שהייתי בטוח שינצחו אותם זה פנאטיק, ווואלה פנאטיק קיבלו בראש. אז אני לא יודע אם מישהו יכול לנצח אותם. בדיוק. מה, איזה חד הוא, עומר, חיים שלי, שבת שלום.
Avove able to remove him right after, so we're back at this 3v3, G2 in the post plan.
אבל אהבתי שהוא שם one tap וזהו, נגמר. תמיד שם רק אחד.
Raz online for Hoodie, but he's gone. Link with a headshot, Soulcast follows up, Meadow now into the clutch again, and this time he will not be able to pull it off for G2. Team Liquid with a much needed...
וואלה, פנאטיק משחקים מדהים, זה נבר, כן. שבת שלום דני.
Like it is the last round, 9-3. And wasn't this the scoreline? This was the dawning of the 9-3 curse.
אנג'ל אבל וואלה לא שחק תקופה. עכשיו הוא חזר רק. במקום ארדיס, אבל איפה ארדיס? רגועים, עומר, רגועים.
What's this? What is this? It's a qualifier for
Reykjavik.
עומר, שלי באח שלי, שבת שלום.
But something just feels a bit different, and I think it is just that G2 are looking splendid. They know exactly how they want to approach this map. They might be one of the best.
לא הייתי פסט לקוריאנים והיפנים, אבל FPX זה אחרת, אחי.
We need to stop doubting that G2 are not only a team that can qualify for an international event, but can go on and certainly win it. There's always a chance, especially if they're finding their form at this
time. אני אעדכן בהמשך, אפשר מעודכן בדיסקורד, בלייבים. בשנייה שלי משהו לעדכן, אני מעדכן. אוי אוי אוי, ימפי קיבל דינק.
I think they've been watching back the VODs. He did this a lot.
וואלה, בול, סגי.
He was finding a lot of space in the attacking side, but they have just countered him.
שבת שלום, יארי, שבת שלום, שלי, אח שלי.
It's all about this central control for Liquid. That's one of their main win conditions if they can get it.
טוב, ניבר, זה הכי חשוב.
Well aware. Able to shut this down. Scream at least brings it into a 3 versus 4, but he's pretty lit. In a kitchen position, Hoodie's playing in close.
באדי ג'י שחקן טוב, וואלה, הוא משחק ממש טוב, משחק ממש טוב ב-FPX. ממש טוב. לא, מה? למה שתעשה את זה, אבל?
Now Link into the clutch himself. You call him the master of the clutch. We'll see if the master was at work today.
רימר לא כזה טוב, וואלה, הוא טוב עדיין ברנק, אבל.
Where is his next victim?
סתם, לא יודע, לדעתי משהו לא מסתדר לו שם. משהו בכלל לא מסתדר לו.
But Avova to the headshot is quick, and G2 will reach 10.
לא, היה כבר, היה, כן. עכשיו יש להם רימש.
10-3, הם
מפרקים אותם.
Like you sort of mentioned and memed on, right? It is just Yampy teleporting up towards the top of Tube.
Liquid מאוד גרועים, כן.
It's very like early round, setting precedence, setting conditioning, and then using it. G2, they can do that, but it's more in their protocols and mid-rounds. The fact that Avova has the confidence to flank all the way around towards the attackers.
וואלה, אני גם יכול להאמין לזה, כרגע.
That's what makes this G2 team so scary. Yeah. And whilst, yeah, we still have split to play, I think Liquid could...
פנאטיק לא FPX נראה לי.
If G2 can win this one dominantly, that sends a whole different...
מה הולך רוני, שבת שלום.
...place Liquid to bring themselves back from.
Yeah, absolutely.
מה יש לו? למה אתה עם קטן על שלא נפתחת?
It's the fact that G2 have clearly done their scouting report.
They've forced up as well.
Yeah, they have. They've invested into this one. Soulcast, luckily off to the best of starts though. They've removed Avova. Navera holding for the peek out to the right side, and that could have been another opportunity. Drum goes forward, confirms the position of G2's Nukia, and he will be removed by Link. Scream for
Liquid הפסידו את זה, הפסידו את המשחק.
A 2 versus 4, and Team Liquid's force looks to be a miracle for them. We'll see if Meadow...
באמת לא יודע מה הם עושים, שון. באמת שאני לא יודע.
Mixwell goes down, and now just one left. It's Meadow. And he can't think about a clutch here, surely not. It's just so difficult to see a world in which he even gets into a position.
כן, גם קומפ דיפולט כזה, לא יודע מה זה, לא יודע.
Team Liquid's investment has paid off.
These are the easy kills coming in.
הוא קלאצ'ר מדו הזה. לא משנה. סקרים אובררייטד, גם סקרים וגם 10 זה האמת.
For Team Liquid, they needed that round. If they don't win that round and that force buy doesn't pay off, we're starting to look at G2 closing Icebox.
Yeah, and how many rounds are we sort of sat there looking at Liquid?
אבנר, שבת שלום, שותף שלנו.
Stuff bossing up there, the double operators in the previous half. You sat there thinking, when it works, it seems that it barely works, that it's very costly. And when it fails, it does so much damage that it takes a few even rounds for Liquid to deal with it. It works out there, but it does feel that it's just these gambles with how they're playing the map. Now we're going for an interesting beast split. Yampi playing centrally yet again. Stacking towards the A site, now rotating. And Meadows going straight. And is enough for Mixwell to actually get an angle. Meadow takes the attention.
צ'אט, כל מי שכאן שימו לייק, פה 50 משהו צופים רק 30 לייקים, זה לא הגיוני. קחו שנייה, שימו לייק, תמשיכו לצפות. אוהב אתכם. איזה יום מתקנים לגבי מבצע חדשה? כרגע אני לא יודע להגיד לך, תשאר מעודכן אחי, תדע. תהיה בטוח שתדע.
3 versus 5, and this was their opportunity, this was their lifeline, and they have to hold on to it. They have to white knuckle grip this life support system. Link pops everything that he can. The Viper's pit being put up. Scream with another kill has removed Hoodie as Meadow begins to track down.
והנה, וואלה, אני עוד לא שם, אבל אני מקבל מאוד שאני בדרך.
The sound cue's enough. Finds the follow-up with Soulcast's position being revealed. It's just Link and Meadow has all three. Defuse being stuck from Avova and G2. They break the hearts of Team Liquid yet again.
וואי, הם בסוף קיבלו טריפטי ליקוויד.
You look at the rounds that G2 wins on their attack with their Viper's pit. It was clinical for the most part. It was the round where Meadow clutched out towards the end, but this, you should be using this ultimate to lock out rounds for Liquid. And Meadow catches Liquid looking like headless chickens in the middle of that ultimate.
אהבתי את השילוב הזה של הסמוק והמולי.
round, I suppose, in the end. But even now, like, Liquid's buy is just haphazardly put together. And if G2 win this and go to 12, there's so little like credits for Liquid to even work with. Viper's Pit is a big ultimate to get in on the site, and they can't do anything with it.
Yeah, I mean, this whole matchup, we talk about it, fight for survival, last chance, whatever way you want to frame it. This is now survival for Team Liquid. They lose this round. G2 are in pole position to close out Icebox and give themselves the best chance moving forward to head to Reykjavik. Look at this from Hoodie. Yampi's just scared to go anywhere near that troop now.
I got the spike.
That's why we started to see G2
use this. קלאסיקו. שבת היום, אחי, למה לדבר על דברים עצובים?
It's hard to play Icebox without a Sage full stop, but if you're trying to execute onto a site without mid control, when you don't have a Sage,
סקרים כן, נראה לי ממש טוב כבר.
The flanks that these teams can go on. G2 so far looking comfortable. The setup is very aggressive. Meadow playing off of his turret. As soon as that ticks off, he's going to go for the peak.
Yes, but look at this rotation run. G2 have everybody over here right now. They have absolutely everybody close to the A site. This is about to be a bloodbath. Team Liquid are hoping it's not theirs.
השתגע, עומר, אני אומר שהשתגע.
So G2 off to a flyer. Nukia follows up. And now it's all crumbling for Team Liquid.
גם זה נראה כאילו אין להם תוכנית, הם פשוט הולכים, אין להם תוכנית.
It's now Soulcast alone. 1 versus 2. He's found the first headshot. Looks up, but Avova denies him his dream. And it's 12 rounds now for G2.
Avova has those clutch moments as well. It's just the cojones on this man to stand still.
זה נראה כאילו הם רצים רנקד. מה זה החרא הזה?
Just it's an off angle. It's very aggressive. Soulcast as well to at least get the one.
אין להם תוכנית, אין להם איזה אקסיקוט מסוים, אין להם כלום. Suna, וואלה כן, הסונה מכני ממש טוב.
This kind of buy for Liquid has been the case for almost every round.
Yes.
Other than the rounds where they're buying double operator. But G2, it's just that they have the read on it. They're dealing with this perfectly. And Liquid just, like you sort of said, don't really have too much of an answer. Like, this is a Pipson team. This is the protocols coming together. And Mixwell on this angle. Knows that the Eldron's going to hug in behind him. He's still staying put. Doesn't spot him.
He spotted Yampi. Can't do much about it. Decides getting enough dodge is probably the better call there. Just play the percentage. Scream is taken down his teammate of Hoodie.
שמעתי ספרות מה שהם. וואלה, האמת כרגע יש שתי קבוצות ב-NHS שולטות, שזה אקזט ודגארד. אחרי זה רנק לא בטוח, רוב הסיכויים שלו.
Eventually, they'll send the toxic screen up. They're just desperately trying to get towards this plant. Scream goes up again. Finds Mixwell this time for the Blade Storm, and Soulcast follows up. Scream is on a field day right now, and he's having great fun, just chopping them down with the knives. Nukia Navova, 2 versus 3.
זה עדיין לוזרבל, אני לא מבין מה עושים. הם זורקים את הראונד, באלוהים. הם זורקים את הראונד. גם אופטיק תפה מאחוריהם, כן. כאילו לינק קיבל מולי סבבה שיצא, אבל למה ניברה זה יפיק? למה זה סקרים על החמור?
Most important impact he could have. That defuse being stuck, he goes into it, misses it out. Defuse being stuck, G2's just sitting on it, and they pulled it through. What a nightmare way of closing. Team Liquid let it run through their fingers, and G2, they will not let this map of Icebox be closed this time, Ryan. A 13-4 victory versus Team Liquid, and they're now one step closer to Iceland.
It's concerning, it's alarming, and the fact that Scream has a 350 ACS and they still lose that hard, real rough looking. You got to respect the way that G2's playing it. You can really talk and lament over things that were going wrong for Liquid, but G2
שט, כל מי שכאן שימו לייק, חברים, שימו לייק. כך בדיוק שנייה, יא קמצנים, יא אנשים קשים שכמוכם.
Absolutely. You can see the counters, the changes that they went through. All of that will be broken down after this break. We've got the analyst desk in just a little bit.
הוא נו ניימר כי הוא עכשיו התחיל, אחי, חכה הוא יעלה.
Cool.
יעלה. מה אומר סיוון? שבת שלום אח שלי. איזה משחקים יש שם בעיני? וואו, יש שם משחק חריף בעיני. זה משחק חשמלי. פאפלייר איזה משוגע, טרנד ממש משוגע. אסנד בחוץ מזמן. רגע, מה קרה? למי אסנד הפסידו? אסנד הפסידו לפנאטיק והפסידו ל-BBL. רק בשבילם האמת. איך אסנד באמת לא עלו? אני לא מבין את זה. מקום ראשון באירופה הם דורגים דרך אגב. NV זה אופטיק, אני יודע. אין להם יותר סיכוי, לא, אין להם אופציה לעלות. נגמר להם ה... וואלה, לא, שום. ולרשום את זה ביותר נורמלי, אחי. יותר נורמלי, בכל מקרה, ארגון ישראלי. כמו שבאירופה זה כרגע אסנד. איזה טעים זה הוגה? אל תדליקי אותי עומר. מי לא גרועים? אסנד? אסנד הכי טובים. אסנד בפער משוגעים. הבעיה שהמשחק הוא עכשיו פחות מכני, יותר טקטי. פנאטיק לא FPX איבן. FPX. ראיתי בסטורי עומר. ליקוויד לא יהיו, סנטינלס לא יהיו, אסנד לא יהיו. סנטינלס לא טובים האמת, לא מעניין אף אחד. אסנד מבאס. ליקוויד גם לא טובים, לא מעניין אף אחד נראה לי. היחידים שהם בא לבאסה שהם לא יהיו זה וואלה אסנד. היו טובות, אבל וואלה לא מגיע להם לעלות. מה הולך מיכאל? שבת שלום. אני עייף פצצות, איך זה הגיוני באלוהים? יש מלא דברים לעשות את זה. טים ליקוויד במקום 2 בעולם? נראה לי שכן, לא בטוח. מתי זה ליקוויד נגד ג'י2 ומתי זה FPX נגד פנאטיק? FPX נגד פנאטיק היה סיבן כבר היום. FPX ניצחו. G2 וליקוויד זה עכשיו.
Get in this 13-6 is going to be a statement. So a 13-4 is more than just a statement. We saw not only Nuki back on the server, I feel like Mix will perform wonders. And we saw maybe on the other side, a Yampi, I think he had only 4 kills in the entirety of the 17 rounds that we witnessed here on Icebox. And I think that, you know, G2, even though they were repeating the same execute on A over and over, I actually have a theory that if they're not here right now, it's because this is not A. They've only went like 2 or 3 times onto B. But the problem is that Liquid was not finding the right pressure to put onto them, so they would actually give up, you know, the freezing and just continuing. Mixwell, as I was saying, finding the first kills. Jumpy not being, having to say to the rest of his team, okay, I cannot do this. Like, I'm not winning the duels. They're taking up the space. If the spike goes down, it's a round for G2.
That's the thing, right? It's kind of crazy.
That's the 7
entry tracks overall. This entire series. And again,
שבת שלום שון.
not finding success. So many rounds where we witness like, ah yeah.
סקרים או סקאי או קאיו, שיהיה לך שבת שלום או סגרת עליי.
It all collapses again and again. This G2 that I'm witnessing right here.
סתם לא זהו, חלאס, אני כבר לא יכול לראות את ליקוויד.
Significantly more coordinated and realizing opponents' mistakes. And that's something for me personally wonderful and
מה הולך לך? שבת שלום.
Yeah, and I think that Liquid was the one making the mistakes today. It took them 8 rounds to actually find a way to stop what was happening onto A. And that is the first time that we saw G2 being like, okay, now let's do B, you know? Let's make them feel like we have this under control. We were talking in the room, maybe in the green room, maybe we just leave a trap on B and just find
לא, סתם, האמת, היום חברים, זה לייב ממש קצר, רק רואים את המשחק הזה, וזהו. רק באתי להגיד לכם, האמת, שבת שלום, לראות לכם כמה משחקים. ויש לי כמה סטורים לעשות. אני מקווה לפחות שליקוויד ינצחו פה, שיהיה לנו טיפה זמן. פעם שהיה לי הרבה זמן, עומר. השנה הטורניר לא היה צפוי בכלל.
I said it before we started as well, that G2 the other day was too scared, you know, to be the one making that first move. And today, even if that first move
אם תהיה פה שלישית אני רואה, כן, בטח שאני רואה.
Didn't stop them. They had the rest. They had so many prepared rounds, even though, you know, it was mostly A hits after A hits. Every single round was prepared and different. And they were really, as I was saying,
לא, האמת שיש הרבה דברים לעשות.
really playing for the roles and the positions that they need to keep.
That was the amazing part.
ראית הלייבים שלי בטוויץ' באמת?
It's impossible to flank.
Exactly. It is impossible to flank. How often has this been a strength from some teams on defender side, right? And they couldn't. Liquid was forced to be really remaining backwards and being like, where do they actually come from? And as mentioned,
גם יכולים לעלות, וואי, אני לא יודע אם נראה לי שלא. נראה לי שלא. בוא נראה.
I'll just say odd.
I mean, it's difficult because we were mentioning you cannot give the space onto A, but when you start using the utility, you cannot use the retake. But then the retake is always going to be complicated, knowing that they're playing the double sentinel. They have the Sage. They have so many means to stop you from defusing. It's very complicated, but well played from G2.
Yeah, well, let's take one of those rounds in bit of an.
כמה זה קרוב לגמר? יש לך עוד זמן.
Yeah, absolutely in my zone. Let's get in there.
יש לך עוד את הלאן שעוד לא התחלנו אותו בכלל. יש לך הרבה דברים שעוד לא התחלנו.
You thought we were going to take a look at an 8. Wrong. We're
יש לו חולצה של רדיאט, אשכרה, תשמע. איזה משתמש. אף אחד לא לגבר, זה רק FPS פנאטיק ומי שנצח עכשיו, כן, בול. ארדיס לא שחק, הוא חולה. למה לא שגם תשתנה והשם השתנה והיה כל מה שקורה ברוסיה ואוקראינה הם סוג של התנתקו כזה מהארגון ושינו שם, באו עם זה שמשלהם כי הם לא יכולים, בגלל שהארגון הוא רוסי.
A little bit of information here, information there, and as we move forward a little bit, we can realize that there has been a Okay, we know there's an operator nearby. We know that there's a problem that might just arise, and this puts us to the point where G2 is doing a bit of a change and a bit of a difference. So first of all, what is going to be the interesting part? We're losing Mixwell. Okay, no big deal. We got a res coming in. So ignoring that for the moment, we see an Omen smoke right here, which allows you to take a good bit more space.
קשורים לגמרי פשוט עם שם אחר נראה לי. לא. מהפייבורית שלי כרגע FPX.
We see one interesting part. After that first shot,
הוא בחופש, עומר, הוא בחופש.
if you took a look at the minimap, Naviera is back, close Snowman. So he has moved away from the tower position on the B side itself. As we move on, and as we take a look at what's going to happen, he's just holding it as usual. There's a Viper wall. So that is going to be the crucial and interesting part. Again, there has been a resmoke from Yampi over on yellow, but here it comes. So now, there would be a reasonable approach. You could basically say, we have a wall, right? And with that wall, we could try, even though there's a Viper's Pit, we could even try to use and get a classic plant, right? It's something that could easily work. But they move on because they realize, how about we take a bit more space and do something that's slightly more ballsy?
באמת לא יודע למה לא תראה פה.
Is about to happen. Remember that Naviera teleported back in Snowman. And as we move on, they're going to be just checking that, and then here it comes. There is that one wall that made the change. They made the move over on Snowman and considered to take more room that they would have actually needed for that play.
אלה סבבה טוב מאנג'ל, הם משחקים על רולים שונים. כעיקרון אנג'ל הוא IGL. ווין גיים לידר. וארדיס זה הג'ט. ואנג'ל דווקא שחק היום גם ג'ט וגם IGL, שזה מטורף, שחק ככה האמת. זה קשה ממש. זה רולים שונים, אחי. זה רולים שונים לגמרי. כשארדיס משחק, אז אנג'ל לא משחק ג'ט. ואנג'ל עושה רק את ה-IGL וארדיס על הג'ט. אז זה אחרת.
Always go A, even then things can work.
I mean, even with that, I think that it's also important the fact that Team Liquid was forced to be using that Viper wall, that toxic screen onto A, just because G2 were hitting it over and over again. So of course, by the beginning of the round, you need to, okay, we need to slow them down. So it's the moment where G2 is like, you know, we don't actually are not that interested. You force them to still use that utility on B, but Team Liquid can never be
I mean, the best thing that Liquid can do is move on to the second map, which is their map pick.
אתם לא הגיעו למצב שיש להם כסף. אנג'ל סאב? לא. בדי ג'י היה סאב. לא יודע מה קורה שם עכשיו האמת.
They look a lot better on this map than they did on Icebox.
Yeah, but you know, when we're talking about that, it is particularly for me the attacking set of G2 that was lackluster, period. It was just once more those classic, kind of the same we saw in Haven in that matchup as well. We're grouping up, we're going together, but there's no real, you know, there's no bigger thought into it. And maybe with that G2 we're witnessing right here and yesterday, it could be significantly better.
Yeah, we're talking about a G2 that the three last times that played on Split has played three different comps. Of course, the first one is you know, adding
נברה והם משחקים את האפרול.
with the new controllers and the usage of them. So it's very important to understand that G2 was still on that adapting phase. Things for Liquid, especially against FPX, weren't looking the best. You're talking, you know, about those sides, and if I am Team Liquid, knowing that G2 is a team that really loves momentum, and after getting that Icebox, I would be very scared because you're not going to start your preferred side, and if G2 keep escalating the way that they were doing on Icebox, it's going to be extremely complicated for you.
I mean, Yampi had an extremely good map here last time on that breach. He's going to be moving over to that agent. Do you feel like that's a nice change for them right now, given what happened?
I think so, also because they
FPX הם 5 טובים ממש.
We know it's Team Liquid, they love to do that, but they actually were finding no results with it. Jumpy was lackluster. He wasn't finding the position. He wasn't finding the shot. So we need a Jumpy that just moves away from that, just goes on a rifle and provides us with a very good breach, as you were mentioning. It was really nice to watch.
Yeah, G2, as you guys can see here, they're having a bit of a team talk there on Mixwell's camera, and you can see on Nuki as well before we head into Split. You can see how much this means to them as well. Some of these players, they've been to LAN before. They had a great performance there too. Again, we talk about Fnatic having unfinished business. Zesh, I'm sure they want to go to to an international tournament and win it as well.
Absolutely, right? Remember the last chance they had previous to our 2022 stage, that was last chance qualifier, right? That was G2 coming from Masters Berlin free, and they've been kicked out of that by Team Liquid. So, you know, blast from the past, but still unfinished business also in that regard.
I was still thinking, because I remember, I think that Lucas Rojo was still there, and he said the Guild was going to be like an easy match, and they actually ended up losing, and then Guild lost to Liquid. So, you know, by definition, it could have been that they still have that unfinished business that, of course, came from the first knockout to the lower. Still, I think that many things could go wrong for G2 on this side, because I think that even though Team Liquid has learned a lot against their loss against FPX.
I mean, we are heading to Agent Select now for Split. Both teams, they played on this map already pretty recently, just against each other. We're not expecting any major changes. Of course, Scream probably will be moving over to the Sage from his Jet. And from the looks of things, they've kind of stuck to what they were doing last time.
Yeah, exactly. I think that this, in a way, doesn't necessarily benefit G2, but if they were watching again against FPX in their own matches, I think that they got a lot to learn. Let's see if they put it onto play, so we might actually have a very quick day.
I mean, my eyes are
because
we mentioned him time and time again, how he approaches Chamber, how he's playing Chamber, and if there's going to be a bit of a change in how he's playing it, particularly on the defensive side, where it feels like he could take away a few more risks from our perspective, or from my at least, and maybe he, you know, puts that in right here, because what did he mention yesterday? If there's one guy he learned playing Chamber from, that is Nivera. So maybe it's time to, you know, bash the master here.
I need to see Link providing something different amongst Nivera. They decide to just, you know, just keep
זה הקומפ היחיד שיכול לעבוד אשכרה עם ליקוויד.
Is a map that relies a lot on contact and all those first kills, but you know, I need something that tells me that this is the composition and not.
לא, דווקא את המפה הזאת אני מאמין בליקוויד, מאמין בהם. כי אני אוהב שסולקס רייז ושסקרים על סייג' במפה הזאת. זה טוב.
Thank you very much, Jin. So years of practice, hours and sacrifices, and all of the practice leads up to one of these moments where you're just a step away from stepping into Iceland. Only one of these teams will make it to Iceland, and we're going to see if they can do it in two here, Liquid, rather G2 or Liquid, going to be able to step it up.
פעם נשחק 10, וואלה לא דרוני רבה אנחנו נראה. הוא נראה כמו לינק, כן, דומה לו ממש.
G2 and Liquid have played this map not so long ago, Ryan. Good start for G2 in their defensive half. We're up 6-2. Didn't end so well at 13-9. Their attacking side leaves a lot to be desired. They're going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting here on the defense.
So far, it's like Liquid leading into it. They're still doubling down on the double controller. There's a lot of merit to it, and already it seems that they're setting up to go for a fast B execute. So much utility to work with. And it really had G2's number once they went to the attack, like you said. Now the Pips and the rest of G2 have seen it. They can anti-strat it, and maybe they could dismantle it in the way that they did on Icebox. But this is a big game for Liquid to bounce back from. You have all of the team to look towards, but most certainly Solcas. He was pretty good on the raise beforehand. He has a lot to do here for this duelist role on this team.
Lots of heavy lifting for G2 on this defensive side. We'll see if they can get off to a good start in this pistol. Straight away in towards mid. It's a hole broken in that wall straight away. Maybe a fight even coming down from the mailroom. It's Hoodie that's found the first. Team Liquid looking to charge back into Vera. The play that claims the life back. But again, it's the extension upon the initial kill for G2 that has put them into the 4v3.
With that mid control, G2 could just put all of that focus onto B main. But Scream still finding some impact. 2 versus 3, getting this plant down. Look how quickly G2 are trying to wrap in.
Wow.
Scream, it's a good time for him to come online. Over in a 1v2.
He was the player frying over in the last match.
Wow, fast for timing טוב.
Looks to break them down. Scream.
Fast כוח של טיימינג.
Finally spots Vova. That's going to draw both players to look at this angle, and now they're hunting. They've split into 1v1s, but Scream will take 4. Pistol picked up for Team Liquid. They will not let G2 get off to the perfect start.
He is
אתה טוב, אחי.
the game on his back.
אין לי מה להגיד לך.
And it really looked like G2 had everything under control. The focus onto mid, they can use that B tower, that B heaven position to just full focus on these players as they come in. But it doesn't matter if you take those duels and Scream can go up against a double peak like that. It's inhumane the stuff that this man can do. G2, we don't know with their attack, right? That's the anomaly. That's the difficult part for the most part.
Yeah, it's hard to rely on that.
Really
look at it and feel like you can ever be that confident in G2 when they had to head over that second half. But for Team Liquid, if they can make the changes here on Split, maybe they can find themselves back in a competitive position for that spot in Reykjavik.
Yeah. Last time they played Split, picked up the pistol on this defense too. It's one of the reasons why they're able.
אני לא מבין למה מסכים על הסייץ' תמיד. פה סבבה שואל על הסייץ', כאילו לא לשחק רייז, אז פה זה סבבה. זה מפה שאתה אמרת להעדיף רייז. שחקן איתו בעולם כרגע אוברול. וואלה נראה לי שיידוס או קרוניקל, באמת.
Now they decide their call to the B strike will certainly be coming through. Soulcast has picked up one stunned, but luckily Link able to back him up. Those two always seem to be working alongside of each other. Now Nuki and Avova left in the 2v4.
דפו את דמפי לפחים, מה זאת אומרת?
Still alive, but with a shotty in mid, Rivera's keeping his distance. In the end, he's the reliant one, right? Like Nivera is just he had a real tough time on the Icebox map, and this has been one of the pivotal players. And it's weird right? Because it's Liquid. They obliterated Guild yesterday. This is not a bad team by any stretch of the imagination, but it is the mind games and the approach. So now it is full buy. Liquid doing well to not make that last round costly. Just going to be a bonus with some pistols in hand. More default.
Mixwell realizes he's not in a position now to challenge, has to rendezvous back to safety. G2 can't afford to lose a player this early. Again, this is a bonus.
אני מחודד אש, אתה לא רואה? לא משנה, זה קורע שלי. צ'אט, כל מי שכאן, שימו לייק, אם לא שמתם לייק, שימו לייק, בואו ננסה להגיע ל100 לייקים. אני לא חושב שזה קרוניקה, וואלה, הם שתי מטורפים, הם עקביים בטירוף, כל הופעה שלהם, כל משחק שלהם, הם נותנים באמת תוצאות מטורפות. מגיע להם טיפה דק, אין להם את זה. כאילו נראה לי שיש להם את זה אין להם את השם הזה מהבחינה של הקהילה. פריז, שבת שלום אח שלי יקר, מה הולך?
Map to lose. Nobody's around him to trade. There's not really baiting any rotations, but Soulcast getting that kill into heaven just might do that.
Yeah, but if you keep the numbers at a
bonus round
over here, Team Liquid still favored with the numbers. Avova looks to hold it, chops down one. It's got his stimmies down. And we'll see if Brumi can get anything done with it. Nuki comes around the backside. Link now removed. Now Soulcast and Scream left in a position where they're trying to recover this one for Team Liquid. You look at the weapons they've got. Scream on a Sheriff. He's also been caught by Mixwell on his blind side. So just Soulcast, he'll get an orb on the way out, but he is pinned in the corner. I think Mixwell realizes he's got him trapped, and now Soulcast will swing out to die. Mixwell removes him and takes 3, and G2 finally have their first round, and it's pretty clean. They lose just one player.
Had a good read on the whole situation. I feel like Yampi was putting a lot of that pressure towards B, trying to pull the rotates from the defenders over to that side, but Nokia in a knew that Luke was coming and dealt with it appropriately. Pinched in behind Avova anchoring onto the site. But a change up on the defense now as Meadows moved over on that breach. Gonna stun and try and push for this space. Maybe expected Team Liquid to do something very fast on these A executes.
See if Mixwell can get something done. Soulcast gets challenged, and that's what's so great about Chamber. You can get in the midst of a battle and just get out like that. Just so quickly. Claims the first kill, and there's nothing. No trade potential.
It's also just knowing that there's going to be anybody coming on the cross. A lot of utility dedicated to try and get Soulcast into that position, and he goes down. The rest of G2 is happy. They're even trying to take this mid control back with this boom bot. Liquid sort of a minute into this round, and they have no control to really work with. G2 are sitting pretty right now in a 5v4 in mid control.
Well, now Team Liquid
מיקסוול זה טריק, מה זאת אומרת?
Feeble's available to them. And it is B. They don't have mid right now at all, so there's not even any split potential to get into this B site. You're all coming in from one avenue. And this certainly will favor the G2 defense. Avova spots one and actually brings down a smoke in front of him. Scream trying to play over the wall, but a hole made in it, so it's no longer a walkway. In fact, it's not even an effective cover piece anymore either. Nukia's dropped Yampi. It's getting worrying now for Team Liquid. They're just throwing bodies at the situation. It's not getting any better. Team Liquid crumbling as Scream tries to tap away, but it's just one stylish headshot before Mixwell triples up.
וואלה, אין לי מושג, דאנוס, אין לי מושג.
How many rounds were Liquid able to get with just us fast?
אז את השיידוס, גמביט.
They were so successful with them that now they're struggling to even get in on the site. Sure, it's a reset because the initial aggression went towards A. But all of the focus from G2 over on A initially, then to mid. B was fairly open, but the rotate there that comes in from Hoodie allows the slow. Avova's playing in that spot as well on the Brimstone. Team Liquid again, very default heavy. All of the utility coming out. And G2 have an answer to it again. Look at them.
Team Liquid going to the challenge. Mixwell best Soulcast at the start of the round again. Obviously can't make the exact same play he made in the previous, but this time pulling out the tour de force. Positions himself to watch rounds.
למה סקוטג'ט בספליט? כי רייז הרבה יותר חזקה בספליט. מורטיס, שבת שלום, אח שלי.
Awful when you lose your duelist this early on in a round like this.
מה הולך, מורטיס?
This should be G2 taking 3 no problem. And for G2, the context you really have to set for them is that they need to win this one cleanly. They want to build that money up even further because, as we pointed out, the show behind, G2 were up 6-2 the other day here in the defense and ended up losing 13-9. So we need to see G2 have a very strong defense, and they need money for that.
Right there. Reset coming in over towards B main. Farmed up Yampi a couple of orbs, so he might be able to pick up another one. G2 didn't go for it beforehand. Vova's watching it. As soon as he finds out entrance. I think Team Liquid on this buy just want to make sure that they have the rolling thunder going into round number 6. They can find an opening.
מורטיס, תודה רבה על השש, שבת שלום, חיים שלי. תודה רבה, אבי.
Yeah, Molly down, Elvova gives himself a faster fire rate, spamming through that smoke. Link and Yampi both go down, and another one.
מה זה? מה קורה כאן?
It's a shutdown. Team Liquid don't even get close to this B site. Flawless round for G2, and you can see they've been doing their homework on how to deal and counter with some of those B plays that Team Liquid are going to throw at them. And you can see, Ryan, the fact that it feels like G2 are funneling Liquid into these B plays by disallowing any early A control.
And just a micro adjustment from Avova. Instead of smoking off the B choke, he's smoking off this awkward entrance way. Even throwing the molly down, it just stalls out. It allows for fast rotates, and because G2 have been quite big control, it does mean that
וואלה, הוא לא היה ברמה שם, הוא לא היה מתאים לשם. לא יודע אם הוא לא היה ברמה, הוא לא היה מתאים. פשוט לא התאים.
Liquid, every time they try and do something fast, it's either
מי לוקח המשחק הזה?
G2,
לצערי.
That's a really cool little trick with that.
למרות שבעצם לא לצערי, שיעיפו את ליקוויד, יאללה, ליקוויד החוצה, חלאס, מספיק, מספיק.
You throw that smoke down in front instead of just smoking off B main, gives you a little bit of extra time, disallows that push, because so often they disrespect that B main smoke. You don't actually have a whole lot of time to deal with it, so...
כן, גם דימה, רואים את ההבדל. שבת שלום, דורג'ה אח שלי.
So that's really cool.
מה אומר דור?
We'll see if that continues.
I mentioned at the start of the series, like G2 semi-finalists in Masters 3. And this was, you know, initially they had a rough start, losing a couple of series and had to bounce back. And that's kind of what GT is very good at. Just during a tournament like this,
בעד מי אנחנו? בעד אלה שהעיפו את ליקוויד כבר מהפרצוף שלנו. בעד G2.
Adjusting and fixing stuff after a loss. So Liquid, the fact that the same stuff is coming out and G2 have just been reading this perfectly, we're seeing a lot more aggression out of Mixel, right? It was very passive last time.
G2 קבוצה הכי טובה בעולם אחרי דורג'ה.
With the operator, with the run.
קילוז, נראה לי, דנוס. נראה לי לדבר על קילוז.
They're constantly shut down when it comes to their pace.
Yeah, Team Liquid, you can just see with how they're setting up in this round, they don't feel comfortable going anywhere else but B right now. They're completely shut off from all other maps. It must be... There's a claustrophobic feeling right now for Team Liquid that their really only written down in it.
וואלה, כי אני מצפה מהם למשהו טל והם לא עושים כלום. וואלה, הם באמת כאילו כל פעם באים ונראים אותו דבר, הם נראים חרא, כל פעם שהם באים נראים חרא. לא יכול לראות את זה.
Now
it feels like the utility usage has just been perfect for G2.
Yeah, it's like a tempo to a song, right? They just know when everything should land. Mixwell's been here the whole time. With this Rolling Thunder almost available for Yampy, now he's
that's
another first step, and that's with the showstopper.
Mixwell has just had his number all game long. Yet again brings down Soulcast. Mixwell repositions, pulls out
Nivera.
for 4. Unfortunately for him, he will not be able to capitalize on that chance, and it thrusts Link into the clutch. A 1v3 total for Link. He's already found that first, but this time it's a limiting factor. Position known of the defender spawn player, and Nuka spotted out as well. Link tries. But tries he might. It is G2 and will take him out. 4-2 on the board. And Team Liquid, what is possible for this team at this point? You know, they're being
time.
G2 was actually a little scary towards the end of the round, but still, you know, Mixwell's having this multi-kill impact. When Meadow goes down, he can step up and hold the line. It's just so many answers that G2 have right now.
It's patient though too, isn't it? Just, all right, they have the showstopper. This is the setup that we have.
Yes.
I'm only seeing new adjustments from one team right now, Dinko. That's the concerning part.
There's the same on Icebox. Good start this time from Yampy. Mixwell finally punished, and that's an opening towards this B site. Also Yampy, like you mentioned.
גיטי, את שם מטורף וזה מאיפה זה בא לי. הוא היה שם דמות כיפית האמת. אם אתה אוהב את השריף וזה, דמות כיפית.
Weaker weapons. They need everything they can get here. This is just looking so rough. Here comes the orbital strike.
וואלה, קצת, בעתיד הנביא את דני לעשות לכם לייב. אני אפתח לייב, הכל רגיל, ופתאום תראו את דניאל במקומי.
You also just look at the buy too. The ultimate's expended so far. And you are forcing them out of G2 at the very least, but their economy is fine. You're the one that's on like an eco with an operator for Scream. That could catch people off, but Evolver's been so good at shutting this down. Again, the stall coming through, and he's just good enough to spray through to catch Nivera.
Yes, well, from the shadows, teleports to the A site, confirms his clearance, but the spike.
אבל הספייק, מה זה? למה שהוא ייכנס אחרון?
From a support network, and now while Team Liquid, it's panic stations. They have to come back into the shots that G2 are firing through that smoke, and you may have seen a chance, you may have seen a glimmer of hope with these pistols, but Team Liquid, they used going to be to no avail. 25 seconds, Scream left, alone. Operator in hand, no opportunities coming his way. And the spike safely in the hands of G2 as they will post 5. And just reiterating the scoreline that G2 held against Team Liquid at the start of Split the last time, it was 6-2. Now we're looking at 5, already picked up for G2. Team Liquid were able to still pull that back, so...
לא, הם... לא יודע, זה נראה כאילו הם לא בדיסקורד בכלל. הם לא מדברים, הם לא בשיחה, הם לא באותו שיחה.
There still was a lot of damage, I think, done from like Liquid's attack inside. What did we say? Like, they need like 3 at the very least, and then they went on to get 5, I think it was?
Yeah, they picked up 5 in the half, yes.
So there was like...
כן, כל מי שכאן יראו לו שמתם לייק, שימו לייק, זה מאוד מאוד עוזר.
B executes, finding initial picks onto players alone on a ramp.
Yes, feels like a very tight G2 this time, doesn't it?
Yeah, like G2 are just not having those same sort of mistakes. Like for example, where Mixwell is, players were constantly caught out there. Team Liquid were in a 5v4, but because it's the chamber, you could play those aggressive angles and still get out when needed.
סמוק מיי לוקחים מיד קונטרול, ניברה עם לך ביי, לא משנה, עזב את זה.
How do we implement this chamber most effectively? And I think we're starting to see some of the rewards of the hard work that G2 have been putting in.
עכשיו סתם דוגמה. למה שרייז לא יתקדם לוונס עם אומן, נגיד? בריץ' שיעשה להם סופורט עם אביליטיז מאחורה, ואומן יכול להשתמש בפלוש לו קדימה, ורייז יכול לקחת את הפרגל.
It's still difficult to try and take that control when you don't have anybody pushing through A main.
It looks like they're going to go set up for...
הם פשוט משאירים את לינק על הלב. ועוזים לבי ספליט.
When these B hits, it has been just one-dimensional, right? They've been able to focus just on main.
וואלה, סרטון הצגה של מיתר, עומר.
This time Hoodie's not looking. Eventually we get the information, they are coming in. Ball goes up to cover them off, and they have to try and split this site. 27 seconds left. Hoodie holding from Heaven platform. And he's got a lineup, they come into him, and Hoodie has 2.
ראונד שלם, הם פשוט לא עשו כלום, באמת, כלום. בסוף הם הצליחו איכשהו לקחת את הראונד הזה, אני לא יודע איך, אין לי מושג איך.
It's just Nukia thrust into the 1v3. They're not looking his way.
למה יש שם שתי סמוקרים לסב... מה אני רואה? מה אני רואה? מה אני רואה? עד שיצא לכם מזל, לקחתם ראונד. הפסדתם אותו. יאללה, ג'י ג'י, לכו הביתה. לכו הביתה.
It's just the gift, isn't it? This orbital strike perfectly placed to just isolate a player on their own. Yampy knows to go in for that fight and engagement. But this should not be happening, not at this level. Look at Nukia's face. He's just, yeah, that's just how it is. Even he's like, to do that, to be fair, but sends a message. Oh God,
my God, Liquid, that is going to hurt them so much mentally. They finally worked their way into a competitive round. Yampy has a pop off, and G2 immediately crack their skulls. We're now in round 9, wall up in middle.
יש פעלים קטנים, בסדר, עושה למצלמה, מה?
This is where their tenacity, this is where their mental fortitude will truly be tested. One map
כולם החזיקו אבן בסיטי, באמא שלי.
Map down already in your last chance to qualify for Masters Reykjavik.
Nice little trap plays, G2 again making things difficult for Team Liquid to take mid control. But also look towards A. Navera is trying to lurk on this Brimstone, using his smokes to get into a high position. But yet again, the Chamber's just watching it, keeping an eye. Speaking of which, Meadow knows this Vent's position could be under threat. He's keeping a close watch, but Yampy, the two breaches, might face off against each other.
נשבע, שים סטן קפוץ, תהרוג את ימפי, תמשיך הלאה בחיים שלך. ראית אותו.
Doesn't bite just down yet. Yampy goes up the rope. It's one for Yampy. Can't follow up.
Nice.
Now we look to Mixwell. The impact he's been having.
טוויטר, אח שלי יקר. שבת שלום. מה אומר חבר? ראית את זה נפילה שלנו? כן, וואלה, באסה. הם באמת באסה.
It's a frustrating match here, Soulcast. Meadows turned, Link decides to sweep on by, his head removed. Link is traded out 1-for-1.
Yalla, GG, GG, GG.
10 seconds left, and Avova comes in from above. It comes close. It feels like Liquid have chances here, Ryan, but G2 are always
ירן כיום, לא. אחרי רק רואים את המשחקים האלה וזהו. אני גם שבור מהיפות, גם יש דברים לעשות. ורק אמרתי נעשה לייב, זה מדהים. נגיד שבת שלום לכולם. תדבר קצת. תעשו להם 2-0, עוד פעם.
It means that in the hands of an agent, it could just teleport out at any given moment. He
is the
most aggressive angles. He's barely died first. It was once, I think, up against. It feels that Liquid are just throwing stuff at a brick wall and.
הם כרגע פשוט נראה לי, יאללה, בוא נשלח את זה. מה הולך זקן? שבת שלום.
It's also like the ultimates. When you use a rolling thunder up in the last 50, for example, it means that you don't have it for that full buy.
בוא נסתכלים את ליקוויד, וואלה כרגע זה אפשרי, חלוטין לדעתי. רדיאנט, וואלה פחות לא נשחק רנק, להגיד לכם את האמת, היום שחקתי קצת רנק בבוקר, וואלה אני על איזה 5-6 מצחונות רצוף, באמא שלי. די הרכב משוגע. איך הוא עושה ג'יגי עם הראש גם. איזה גבר.
Actually have an accelerator who hasn't had to throw it down yet. Team Liquid realize, all right, let's not walk into that again. We know how that goes, and instead Scream decides to run out. Sheriff to the head. Hoodie and Avova. Hoodie will res his teammate Nukia. Yampy slips his way in. Yeah, just Team Liquid trying everything they can, but G2 just have the answers immediately.
Live בוקר, מה אתה אומר על מחר? בעצם לא, מחר אני לא יכול.
It's not really a winnable position here, right?
Sometimes with Link, you kind of feel it in the air.
אני אתחיל לעשות לייב עם עומר באיזה 12-1 בצהריים, כל יום.
Not their day so far, 8-2. I can understand it on Icebox, but this being the map pick of Liquid, it really does come down to having a superb defense.
זוכר אותך טוויטר, זוכר מה אמרת. אבל אני לא, אין לי זמן לזה, אח שלי יקר, אין לי זמן לזה, באמת שאין לי.
Rolling Thunder now available.
אמת, עומר, אמת, מסכים.
Away from having a showstopper, there has been incredibly little impact from the ultimate.
לא, לייב צהריים כזה, מ-12 עד 4 בדרך כלל.
Their utility has just been doing all of the work. Again, look at the setup that G2 has, expecting a fast play from Liquid.
In towards A of all things as well. Team Liquid really struggling to crack a hole. Yampy with a rolling thunder. But they're off the site. It's going to be rather ineffective. Meadow, the only player caught by it. They go up in towards Heaven Soul.
וואלה, אמן שהפלאוור יהרוג את כולם, אמן.
Down below, spots the head of Meadow. Meadow who gets a double. Quick kills here from Link. That gives Team Liquid a chance here on the side. There has to be a retake in Navera. He's gone aggressive, and he's gone too aggressive. Avova has punished him for his overzealous play. And now we have to look to G2. They've got the advantage into this.
Is this going to be her? Optal strike used from Avova. Caught out, but Nuki on the high ground. It's all up to Link again.
זהו, זה התרם, 9-2.
Left alone, 1v1. Link, you call him the master of the clutch, and certainly can be. Hasn't really had too many winnable situations, but this one certainly is.
שאם נוקי הולך לנטרל לנצח את הראונד. לא, רץ אחריו.
Chasing after him, swings wide as Nuka and Link with a 4K.
שי מסכים שאנחנו באהבה אומר, ברור.
Through in his back to get them a third round win.
Smart ultimate 2 resets himself back into that A lobby position, gets the flank onto those G2 players. And really saves the execute. It's stalled out.
אני תמיד מנסה לפרגן לחברים שאני רואה אם הם מעלים סרטון, אם הם מעלים דברים, תמיד.
Doesn't get any kills, but it just stalls Liquid again. Makes it very difficult. But if Liquid could get the plant down, that's where they find their most success, is just playing in those post-plant positions. But that's, what, their second, third plant that they've managed to get down?
That's been very rough.
חברים, עומר תספים את הקישור, אבל עומר שלוחת פה קישור, תיכנסו לסרטון, זה סרטון של שחקנית מאוד מאוד מוכשרת, ישראלית. מיתר, מי שמכיר, שחקנית ענקית. שימו לייק, שימו סאב, תספים את הקישור. פרגנו לה המון. מגיע לה.
It's also like, well, now you've got the Omen actually pushing up into the sight line in mid, so Link needs to be very careful.
Oh, the timing nearly works.
תמיד אפשר, אבל לא ליקוויד, טוויטר, לא ליקוויד.
Cover himself and take the kill. So G2, two-player advantage. The spike's going to be recovered.
למה לרזדנט אתה לא מפרגן? רזדנט לא צריך את זה, תאמין לי, רזדנט יכול לפרגן לי. סתם לא, האמת שגם רזדנט אליי בסרטון, סרטון גם ענק. וואלה, ראיתי את רואה סון יפה מאוד.
But it's the response, right? You've got Yampy there on the breach, but there's no flashes or stuns going into mid, so Mixwell can take all of this space. There's very little utility other than the bits thrown out at the start of a round on A. Now the showstopper's going to come through with that execute, but he's hit with so much damage by the paint shell.
יואו, נוק עוד פעם ברחנו. איזה גבר.
Meadow quick to reply. And even then, with that pick, it's not really done a whole lot here. We need more from Team Liquid. Navera certainly stepped up to headshot to Meadow. And now the brother is into the clutch again. This time, Scream hits the headshot. The numbers now even yet again on the player count. Hoodie begins his descent from heaven. He's peering over the site. They have to be in a tight position here, Team Liquid. They have to be close together, and they know that Mixwell will clear it methodically. Takes down one. Navera tries to split them into the 1v1s, and he's so
Pistol!
Liquid. They needed 4 at the half, and they get it. They get that 4th round, and this is now competitive if they win a pistol.
It's so important to win that pistol, right? It's these multi-kills. The individual brilliance of Liquid is starting to shine now. And Soulcast, how many kills did he have the last time that they played on that attacking side? He was 8-11. He's only got half those amount of kills.
But it's the impact here in this round is from him as well, though. He clears out the site, he creates that space at least, and he's able to deliver some impact when it matters. And we know that G2's attacking side has been weak. They only won 2 rounds the last time they played against Team Liquid just a few days ago. So this is definitely not done. We know G2 struggle on this attacking side.
Well, look at the adjustments that they made so far. So now G2 trying to play in those fights. These double controllers actually stacked on the same side towards A. It's just a raise on B. And similar start up for Liquid. Just that Sage Wall in mid to keep that central control. What have G2 been working on? What's their adjustment to this?
וואלה, שתדע לך שאני עובד על זה, אבל שתדע לך. ואני מתחיל להפציץ, האמת. וואלה, מתחיל להפציץ.
On that fact, Ryan, the fact that G2 have been doing their homework since that match, we've seen evidence of it. I think the biggest question mark will be their attacking side. I'm sure that is what a lot of the work went into. Minute left.
מה, פעם ראשונה, אייסבוקס.
G2 taking some mid control. look at the Liquid setup.
G2 13-5.
3 position towards A. They're giving them this control in towards mid.
Pace feels slower. Trying to weed out more utility, but the angle that we're seeing Scream play for...
כאילו אוקיי, תסתכלו איזה יופי G2 כן עושים את האקסקיוטים. בריץ' מאחורה עם יוטיליטי, כולם מתקדמים הלאה, ויש פריצה של 4 שחקנים. יש להם תוכנית, כאילו, יש להם תוכנית, הם יודעים מה לעשות. ליקוויד פשוט רצים. אולי זה לא יעבוד להם, כן, אבל לפחות הם עשו משהו שהם עבדו עליו, כאילו משהו מתוכנן. לא החרא של ליקוויד עושים.
The 2v2 will ensue with 14 seconds left. Eventually G2 will have to
עדיין אפטר שוק, אבל לא משנה, הוא מת ליאמפי. לא.
And so with a spike down, the chances of G2 winning this round now
מי השחקן הכי טוב בעולם? וואלה, יש מלא שחקנים שהם לדעתי כולם שם כאילו בטופ הזה של הטופ 1-2 כאילו. זה לא שחקן אחד, באמת. ולדעתי הכי טובים זה שיידוס וקרוניקל. וואו. איזה הבדל G2 משחקים ואיזה הבדל ליקוויד משחקים. כאילו ליקוויד סתם לקראת דמויות.
How many times have we seen G2 go on these mad flanks to get in behind? It's just, I guess, the idea that they know that Liquid like to play off each other in these sort of...
צ'אט, כל מי שכאן שימו לייק. בוא נגיד להם על לייקים, צ'אט. יא קשים, יא מחלות.
And you look at Yampi as well, like he was the best player on their defensive half.
You sort
of expect him to maybe sort of bring something out like that again, but Meadow, I can't emphasize how amazing he has been in these playoffs.
He's been absolutely brilliant. And let's talk about Meadow in terms of his role switches as well, right? I mean, this guy, one trick pony, I think, was something that applied to him with the Cypher situation, but the fact that he's been able to deliver on so many different agents now and reinvent himself and play it to this level, great to see.
נגיד אם הייתי ליקוויד הייתי משחק דאבל דואליסט, לדעתי. סקרים ג'ט, סולקס רייז. מוריד סמוקר אחד. אתה מסתיר מינימאפ. סודר לך את זה באהבה. אז אם טיפה צריך את הוובה, אבל לא נורא בקטנה.
But just compare, like that's what Liquid wanted to do on those B executes. But G2 was so constrictive, they didn't let them. But G2 are very good at taking the space. Look at them again.
Yeah, very good. You know, G2 just want to sweep this up.
There's
too many players here. And keep enough to get a solid bonus opportunity, at least in the next.
תודה רבה, סאב יונה, ברוך הבא.
It's got the fastest sheriff.
איזה IGL קיבלנו מבחורה ב7 בבוקר. וואלה, היא הייתה משוגעת האמת. היא הייתה משוגעת. באמא שלי השתגע שם.
Iceland is in the works right now for G2. It's almost looking like their flights can start to be booked unless Team Liquid win this round. If they don't, we're starting to see a very likely scenario.
גם לא ניסיתי להביא קולים והיא לא הסכימה לי. היא פשוט אמרה לי, לא אכפת לי, כאילו מה אתה אומר? אני אומר את מה עושים, זה מה שתעשה. אתה לא מעניין אותי.
A lot of teams are probably not booking their return ticket to Reykjavik other than Fnatic that was there last time.
תודה רבה, עשה פרס. שלטה על המשחק, קולי גמור ב7 בבוקר. אני מת.
Continues to make us.
תמשיך לשחק, אחי. תמשיך לשחק.
We've seen a couple players rocking this now with a little gap underneath this wall on the right side. You can see the feet cross if you go for a wide stance. And he's going to look for it. Scream's wall now broken up, so not really capitalizing too much off of it. Has to now drop back into a more
ניוקי שחקן מטורף. מטורף.
Whether that's going to be to protect their flank on the execute or whether that's just a reset towards A and seeing if
באמת, עומר, היא לא התייחסה אליי. הייתי בהלם.
Vera's expecting this though. There's no real protection though.
He has to be to get his gun out here. They're pushing him. Find the chance that Molly will actually separate them and sever them off from the pack, but Hoodie still so good. Takes down Navarro. That's a crucially important kill. And now you have to look towards Yampi in the site. His teammate is out towards Defender spawn, but he needs to do something. Yampi can't manage a single kill. And now Team Liquid, they're just down to 3 players. If you lose to a bonus like this, the money will be so good for G2. They'll be on 11 rounds. There needs to be some magic here for Team Liquid. Can Scream beat a magician? Links down.
איך זה ירגיש כששמעת תמיד? וואלה, היא עצבנה אותי, עומר, באמא שלי. מה אתה חושב על סקרים הרבה מראש הכי טוב בעולם? וואלה, כן, הוא שחקן מטורף, אין לי מה להגיד, כן, אבל כרגע הוא לא שם.
Really went for the gamble, I think, with this kind of composition. There's a lot of merit to it with just the stall and the control that you have when you have an Omen and a Brimstone together. But it's only for the extremities. The G2, they push in mid, they take that B control, they set up a trademark and head towards A. With the right timing on the right kind of split, and Navera gets hit by 2 players. I think that's been the big difference for me with G2 on this attacking side, is how much better they are having those players in mid, take that aggression, take that space, whilst some players or one player goes through B main or A main. The timing is much better, it's much stronger, and Liquid just get overwhelmed.
And I think, you know, a talking point on the desk just before we come into split was,
is it
just Scream fragging out right now? Is he the only player delivering that firepower? The answer is a resounding yes now. You know, Link had a big round, but other than that, you know, hasn't really been consistent on it. Soulcast has died so many times as first player in the round. Navera hasn't been anywhere near just a few days ago. You know, this is Team Liquid really not and this is their last chance.
Link and Navera though, like, it feels like these full buys aren't getting all that much done. The only 2 rounds that Liquid have been able to pick up in their last 8 or 9, I think it was those multi-kill clutches.
Yeah, you can't. They're not sustainable, Ryan. Right? That's the point. You can't win those and rely on those time and time again. You need the system.
זוכר אותך קינגרי, שבת שלום, חבר. מה הולך?
And towards B. Meadow will dispatch, and this is Liquid taking a bit more of a risk now. They realize they have weaker guns.
Just notice that they have 3 judges, and that's why they're trying to close in on that space. You got 1 on B main, you've got 1 in mid here, and then the final one for Navera on A.
Yeah, at this point, Team Liquid, they need G2 to bite on a trap. They need them to walk in towards Scream. They need them.
וואלה, הם יעשו שינוי ברוסטר לדעתי, הם ישנו משהו.
A team that
לא יודע מה, אבל.
not going to check all of these corners. They're going to no stone unturned. Utility's going to come in and really mess up this Team Liquid setup. It's going to be hard to catch G2 sleeping here. They have come ready, primed and ready to take their spot in Iceland.
Wow, Yampi po.
He realizes that, sends the aftershock in to try and buy some time, but Nuka, he's caught the blind side. He's went right through it and caught Yampi on the other side. Now Meadow catches out Scream, and these numbers dwindling for Team Liquid. They're just down to 3.
There's clearly an area that Liquid are trying to like push on through, and they're not falling for anything. They're clearing these angles perfectly. These judges really much if at all.
או לעשות סדר ולהתחיל לשחק את המשחק נורמלי, באמת. או שפשוט תעשו 5 סטאק ברנקט, כאילו, באמא שלי. בעיה לא בשחקנים, אני גם חושב שהבעיה לא בשחקנים.
With a Spectre in his hands and Avova makes sure that he walks out with nothing. Team Liquid.
הבעיה בזה שהם משחקים, זה נראה כאילו זה משחקים רנקט.
And they are now 1 single round away from qualifying for Masters in Reykjavik.
And this would be frankly an embarrassing way for
כן, זה נראים טוב, זה נראים ממש טוב.
But we can focus on the positive here for G2 though. I think it's glaringly obvious the work this team has put in, the sustainability that we hope we can get out of this roster now, that they've put together the team, they've said, this is the team we're sticking with, this is our decision. We're starting to see some of those improvements already. G2, what is their call to try and close this? This is the worst situation for Team Liquid to be in.
Initial push up from Liquid onto A, and they just have to like stack, find something else. No pressure on A. They kind of know that these early mid pressures have been coming in. Now it's tentative. Again, it feels like Liquid aren't sure how they want to approach things, and G2 are just running the simulation each time. Mid, mail, reset through vents, A tower, execute.
I look what G2 have available. They have
Link.
Couple ult points away as well from Luka getting that, but 1 away from him on the showstopper. Here comes that Rolling Thunder to clear out heaven.
Well, Majel
G2 creates an opening now for G2 to attack.
Spraying through the smoke, Showstopper now going to come in actually to try and flank in behind, but it still doesn't seem to connect. Soulcast's luck has been out of it, and Link holding on to the Judge could be the last hope.
Well, Meadow has found Link.
GG, boys.
Trying to keep their team in this one. VCT looks to come to an end. It's just one player for Navera to keep Team Liquid in this one. He walks. But to his demise, G2 truly one step away. Navera will take down Avova. They're throwing everything they've got at him. And Mixwell will close it. Hard work, sacrifice, and an insatiable desire for victory. G2 will head to Iceland. Reykjavik will beckon for them.
13-4 on both these maps. G2, they're looking like a different beast from what we have seen throughout the group stages. I think that there's a chance that they could take the top spot in EMEA with the form that they're in. This is blistering.
חברים, אני ממש מצטער שזה היה לייב כזה קצר, אבל וואלה האמת אין לי זמן ואני גם גמור מאוד מהעייפות. אני מקווה מאוד שאני אספיק לסמוך על הלייב בערב, אני מאוד מקווה. אם כן, אני אעשה לייב ארוך רק רנקד, בלי לראות משחקים, בלי כל השטויות. עכשיו רציתי לעשות לייב ולהגיד לכולם שבת שלום, טיפה לדבר איתכם, טיפה לראות את המשחק. אוהב אתכם המון חברים, שיהיה לכולם שבת שלום, סופה שניים, תהנו בשישי שלכם. אוהב את כולכם, תודה רבה לכל מי שהיה פה. את מבינה עומר, בושה, באמת בושה. אבל אל תעשי לי ככה, את גורמת לי להרגיש רע, וואלה אני מנסה, באמת שאני מנסה. בקיצור חברים שלי, אוהב אתכם המון, תודה רבה 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 לכל מי שהיה כאן, אוהב אתכם חברים, שבת טיל.
perfectly, and he could be the difference for G2. Not only just getting to Reykjavik at this point.